Welcome to our book spoilers review of Leigh Bardugo's Wonder Woman Warbringer.
I really liked it.
I did too! And I mean, I was shocked and I wasn't shocked because I'm like, okay, it's Leigh Bardugo. When has she ever written a terrible novel? But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know, like...
It's just the built-in distrust for tie-ins.
Yeah.
And like novelizations, even though this isn't a novelization of a movie, but it's just like there's that whole stigma about like switching mediums.
Yeah, usually doesn't work out too well, especially when they work backwards. You're like they were just like, do your own thing, don't worry about what the movie's doing, go for it. And she did, and it was pretty freaking awesome. We ended up getting this book at Bia. We stood in an hour and a half line to get this book.
An hour and a half unofficial line.
So this book, like we said, doesn't quite follow the movie, but it is kind of the same Diana in that she's very earnest, she wants to do good, she's like a very strong character. She just has different goals than the movie Diana. As she was the only one born on the island, she kind of feels like she's less than all the other Amazons and she has this need to prove herself. And that's kind of what drives her throughout the book. In order to prove herself, she's running this race and she wants to be the best runner there is. And that'll prove that, you know, she's got the stuff to be the next queen of the Amazons and she's earned her place. But as she's running, she sees a ship explode off the coast and she's like, shit. Probably do something about that.
And there are rules. You're not allowed to bring outsiders onto the island.
There have been stories passed down about what happens when you do, and people have like gotten kicked out.
She's risking exile. But you know, good deeds, man.
Yeah, she can't help herself. She dives into the water and she goes to the wreckage, and the only person she can save is a girl named Aaliyah. She drags Aaliyah back to the island and she's like, shit, now what do I do?
Doesn't take long for things to get worse though. Because the island self-defense kicks in because the only people allowed to be on the island are the Amazons. And so outsiders cause like massive like earthquakes and freak weather, and there's like some Amazons get sick and no Amazon is supposed to get sick. That's unheard of. And Diana is there and she knows what's happening. She's figured it out and she's feeling so guilty. And she goes to the Oracle and the Oracle's just like, look, let the girl die. No one will know what you have done. Everything will go back to normal and everything will be hunky-dory. And
Diana's like, I don't really feel good about this. I can't just let her die. And the Oracle's like, well, there's another way, but you're destined to fail, so just let her die. And she's like, just tell me what the other way is.
What do you mean I'm destined to fail? Turns out Aaliyah is a warbringer, which basically means she's a descendant of Helen of Troy. She's gonna bring about the apocalypse, and if she's killed by her 17th birthday, there'll be no war. Things will, like, you know, even out again. Later on in the book, you like encounter graphs that people have made throughout history of like warbringers who have existed, and then, you know, there's war and people keep dying, and then the warbringer gets killed for some reason and just all the conflict ends. So not to say that there aren't wars in between, but all the really big ones are caused by the warbringers. Diana's like, okay, I can do this. So she goes, she grabs Aaliyah, she takes a whole bunch of provisions like the whip and the diamond and the gauntlets, and she's like, okay, we're going. And she takes Aaliyah to New York. What she needs to do is she needs to take her to this specific spring in Greece that is near where Helen of Troy was buried, and if Aaliyah bathes in the spring, then the curse will be broken. So it's this like trying to get to Greece, but Aaliyah does not believe Diana, and Diana is just like, but do you see? Do you see
everything? Like,
we just used a magical like rock to get from, you know, Greece to New York. You don't like. And so it takes like a lot of convincing to get Aaliyah to like take things seriously, because they realized that the bomb on the ship that Aaliyah was on was meant to kill her. It was somebody trying to bump her off before she hits her 17th birthday. Because there are organizations out there that are, like, one of their main focuses is to destroy the Warbringer, and there was a nice reference to the Order of St. Dumas, which is like a Batman villain thing. Huh? Yeah, so there are people who are trying to stop Aaliyah from existing, but then they're like, the gods are kind of getting involved, and then there are other organizations that, you know, maybe don't want her to be dead, so it's just like, our poor characters. So anyways, Aaliyah doesn't really take her seriously about the people trying to kill her, and she like contacts her brother Jason, and Jason shows up, and he's just like, he starts causing all this
trouble because she manages to convince them both that the Warbringer is a thing because Jason's parents knew about it and he's like been reading files on it. But Aaliyah wasn't aware that these files existed, so once Jason kind of like backs up her story, she's like, oh, okay, this is real.
And then she's really convinced it's real when they're at this big event for their company. And the social thing is interrupted by people like SWAT teams coming in and just people getting hurt. And she's just like, oh my god, this is my fault. This is legit. People are actually trying to kill me.
I didn't listen to Diana, and now shit's gone down.
And they destroyed the temple room in the Met, and that's like my favorite place in the whole wide world.
It was just so funny because we were actually there while we were in New York, so it was just kind of like, I was like, just like inserting myself in there. It was great. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole book, was just that whole debacle. The stupid thing is too, though, once like Diana like gets them to believe that the Warbringer is a thing, they're still like, no, let's go to this party. Great. And you're like, dude, someone's trying to kill you.
But the thing is, it does make sense in the last third of the book.
Yeah, oh yeah, it does make sense. But as you're reading, you're like, this is like such a typical pitfall. Why are we going to this party?
This is book logic. This is book logic. What are you doing? Yeah, everything makes sense.
Yeah.
There are layers.
So two characters that we also get to meet are Theo and Nim. Theo is like a brainy tech guy, very good at computers, and Aaliyah has a crush on him.
Yeah, Jason's best friend.
Yeah, even though he doesn't quite treat him as his best friend. Kind of treats him as like lesser. And then there's Nim, who's like the cutest character. She's a chubby Indian girl. She's a fashion designer. As far as we know, she's bi, and she constantly hits on Diana, which is the funniest thing because like every once in a while, Leigh Bardugo feels the need to remind you that Diana looks like an absolute supermodel and that standing next to her you would just feel like a slug wearing clothing. And I was just like, oh, damn. And through all her fight scenes too, I was just like, she's like picking up cars and she's throwing shields and stuff, and I'm like, damn, I gotta work out.
So the first twist is you find out that Jason is not what Jason seems. He's kind of got the blood of heroes in him. He's something more than a normal person. And so that's something that Diana and him can bond over. She sees that he kind of gets what it's like to have kind of burden to protect people. And like at first during their relationship, they're like very antagonistic towards one another because Diana challenges Jason and Jason does not like to be told no and to like people not do what he wants them to do. But at the same time, I guess he thinks it's kind of hot that she's standing up to him. And so they've got a kind of budding romance going on.
What were the words?
The words are, he's a piece of shit.
Ah, yeah. So Jason, Theo, Nim, Diana go on a giant road trip to Greece. It's full of plane crashes and people chasing them. Then, of course, you have the gods of, I think it's like chaos and like...
There are two twins. Chaos and like fear, specifically like battle fear. Forget what the god's name is, but it kind of takes away the heart of a warrior. So like a warrior is someone who doesn't just kill randomly, but this god influences you so that you're like thinking about self-preservation so much. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's panicky. And so you're stabby instead of like...
And they're basically like also trying to stop Aaliyah from reaching the spring. And because Aaliyah's a Warbringer and she causes conflict, it causes a lot of conflict between Theo and Nim, who are they're like fond of each other but in an antagonistic way. So with Aaliyah's power like applied to them, they're constantly at risk of being possessed by these two.
They try to kill each other every once in a while.
It's fun, but those things are scary. She did those really well, where you're just like, damn, those things are terrifying. Long story short, they're driving through Greece, and they're like just about to get to the string when they get captured by this SWAT team.
And the way it happens, it's like she's about to walk into the spring, she's having this vision of Helen and like her friends, and then Jason is just like, nope, stop, we're going home, like, brings in the SWAT team, and everyone is like, Jason, how could you?
And it turns out that Jason has more or less been the villain all along, and his overprotectiveness has actually been like hiding his like deep need to turn the world into an all-out Greek myth.
Oh my god. Earlier on in the book, they're talking about science. And they're talking about like the effects of science and like how important like science is, blah 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 blah. And Jason is just like, no, you know, with vaccines, every generation is getting weaker and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, you are too passionate about this discussion. There's a meme that I saw this morning on Tumblr, which was a picture, I'll put it up here, of like a shot from the 300 and a shot from like now, and like the shot from the 300, it's like it has 300 BC written underneath it. This was man in 300 BC and this is man now, kind of implying that, oh, men aren't manly, and like the caption under it is like, this person thinks that 300 is about the year, not the 300 at Thermopylae. But Jason is basically that. He's just like, you know, men used to be men full of piss and like
piss and vinegar and chest hair,
and like heroes, the age of heroes, and the weak will be destroyed, and like the great will rise,
and New World Order,
glory, and it's just, and Diana's like, huh? Has the SWAT people killed Nim and Theo because they won't survive in his new world? And you're just sitting there like, okay. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I've genetically made monsters.
So he comes out with this like scorpion woman thing that like is like specially designed to drain people of blood.
Because he wants to drain Diana of blood and use Diana's blood to make another race of warriors, because he's made a race of warriors. Like he has guys that are like hopped up on his blood.
So they're all super strong and...
Diana still rips through them though, so that was very satisfying. But like, man, and like Diana has this thought when she's starting to fight this like, this creature where she's like, this might have been like just a normal girl at one point that he's just like...
fucked with.
Oh my god, it's so creepy. Yeah, so Nim and Theo die, and then Diana gets drained and is lying there dying, and she's like, oh my god, Athena... good luck! Protect the people! Athena and like all the other goddesses show up, but they're like, okay, yeah, cool, you know, you died in battle, you called out to us, you know, you can go and be reborn on Themyscira as a proper Amazon because, you know, you're battle-born now, isn't that great? Like, get ready!
Super good, your trial is over, and...
go home!
And Diana's like, listen, does not mean as much to me as I thought it did. All I want is for Nim and Theo and myself to be alive so that we can rescue Aaliyah and fuck up Jason.
And so she gives up her immortality, like, not her immortality, but like her ability to be reborn. The bargain is if she dies now, she goes to the underworld. But in exchange for that, Nim and Theo can come back to life. Yay! Which I liked.
Yeah, I did like that. So Jason wants to use Aaliyah's Warbringer powers to bring about the disasters.
Bring us all back to the Bronze Age.
So he's got Aaliyah and he's like got her captured. He's got all these dude bros, you know, like keeping her closeted. And she finally decides, I really like this part where she finally decides that, you know, she can do something and she's going to use her Warbringer powers to like to get herself out of this. And that was really cool because she's like, so far she's been like fighting the powers and she really doesn't want it, but at this particular moment her curse is actually a gift and so she uses it. And I was like, I really like that. So all the dude bros start fighting each other. Theo and Nim hack into like the security stuff and do all their...
to delete all of his research.
Yeah, and do all their brainy shit. And Diana goes to fight Jason.
And it's so funny because Jason is like, you know, this entire time I've been watching you and so I know how strong you are. I've been holding back. Blah-de blah blah blah. And she just kicks his ass.
She's like, yeah, okay, you got strength, but I've got years of training.
And so
years of training.
They fight and she kicks his ass and then he's like, well, okay, you grew up fighting Amazons, so why don't you fight an Amazon? And she's just like, oh my god, I'm screwed. Like,
what are you doing?
And he injects himself with a serum made from like her DNA. And then all of a sudden he starts like losing his mind because earlier in the book we find out that all the Amazons are somewhat connected and they feel each other's pain. And so every time he punches Diana, not only does he like, he feels the pain that she's going through and he's like, what's going on? And she's just like, welcome to my life.
Yeah, and apparently she can also hear like she also kind of like relives the death of every Amazon that's connected in their chain link, so that's also driving him freaking crazy. He's just like, how do you live like this?
And she mentions how like it's one of the reasons why the Amazons value mercy so much, because what's the point of more death?
And she's like, if you can't take on our weaknesses, then you don't deserve our strength. And I was like, that's a really good line. And then, of course, they have to rush Aaliyah to the spring to put her in there before the day sets or whatever it is. What I really wanted her to do is it be like the last moment, and Diana just whips out a water bottle
And just like
and yeah, chucks it on her, and I'm like, surprise! I thought that would have been really funny, just like a way to like be like really clever and get around the curse and be like, I brought the spring to you. But no, instead she runs to the river and dunks her in, and it's all good. Diana, Theo, Nim, Aaliyah, they all kind of go their separate ways after this because Diana's gotta go back to the island, and she's not sure when she's gonna ever run into them again, but you know, they all part as...
I really liked it.
What about the ending?
Oh, the ending. So she goes back to the Oracle, and she ends up in the Oracle's room, and she witnesses that no time has really passed. It's her mother and the other Amazons on the council come in to talk to the Oracle, and the Oracle's like, it's over, get out of here, like, don't bug me, you know, whippersnappers. So the Amazons leave, and the Oracle says to her, like, no one knows you did this, but you do, that's all that matters. And so this entire time the Oracle has been switching forms. Like, she's an old crone, she's the goddesses, and then she talks to Diana as someone who Diana has never seen before. Someone with dark hair and like a blue skirt and a red like... and you're just like, oh shit, it's you! It was really cute.
Yeah, so you know, you figure out that the Oracle is actually all the goddesses just like watching over the island, and they're like, surprise, this was a test, and you know, if you failed you would have been out, but good job. Yeah, so that's basically the end.
It's good. I want more.
I know, right? Like, I don't know if they plan to, like, do continuations because it's, like, the Icon series or whatever, but it would be really nice to have a sequel to this.
I expect if they do well, they will do more.
Because why not?
I am so excited for Batman by Mary Lou, because if anyone can do grimdark, it's Mary Lou.
Batwoman will, like, suck all the joy out of your soul.
I'm so excited. Have a chance to pick this up.
It was a great read, it was fun, it was different than the movies, but you know, you still had all the, like, good, solid, thought-provoking stuff in there, and yeah, pick it up. So, see you guys later!